Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Almond. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. In today's video, I want to go over what's the best spot to grind your spellements and try to achieve that 7-pip spell if you are trying to get it for your specific school. Obviously this is going to vary because not all schools do really need to max out their spellements, but it does help with a little bit of information and just so people know where to farm and what my best tips are. But if you do enjoy this type of content, be sure to leave a like on this video, be sure to subscribe, and remember that 90% of you guys that watch me on a daily basis are not subscribed. So if you guys can do me a huge favor, subscribe. It's free. You guys can always unsubscribe later. And yeah, let's get into today's content. So before I go into what's the best spellements, I actually finally got enough to actually upgrade my spellement. It took me a long time, a lot of stream grinding and a lot of off-cam grinding, and I can finally get my spell to max level. So I wanted to save this for part of the video as well because I didn't want to do it in my own time, because this technically is a really good moment because it's a lot of grinding. It is a lot of grinding. From getting it to 5 to 6 is very easy. So if you are trying to do this and just try at least level it up once, do all the side quests in Caramel. Each side quest does give you spellements. They give you like 2, I believe, 1 to 2 depending on the quest, I believe, but I'm pretty sure like 90% of them give you guys like 2, and you can upgrade it to 6 pips. So not everyone's gonna get it all the way to 7 pips. Only certain schools I would probably get it to 7 pips. Storm is one of the main ones because they are using their AoEs, and they do get an AoE spell, so I think that's kind of useful in my opinion, especially for me when it comes to farming and everything. I feel like I'd rather have this because I'd rather use bugs than sound of musicology in my opinion, just because it's more constant damage and it's 5 pips. So if I want to have like a heavy hitting AoE, sound of musicology is going to be good at 7 pips because it's going to be either I use a Stormlord, and if I have a Shadow pip, I can use sound of musicology. So let's quickly upgrade that, and as you can see, this pops up as well. Would you like to lock the next tier for the spell? Another thing is, I wouldn't go down the bottom route at all. If you're Storm, I still don't believe you should go to bottom route because there's no incentive. You're losing damage, you're losing pips, but the blade doesn't increase. So if the blade increased, like it went from 40 to 45 or 50, or maybe 40, 50, 60, something like that, I would understand why you would go lower, but just no reason to go lower because there's no point, because you always start off with 5 pips anyways, and if you do start off with the shad, I don't think you would want to use this when you can use your bugs alternative, you know what I mean? So let's upgrade this spell, and like I said, it's 115. It's a lot, so let's do that. It does a little animation, which I love. It does a little twirl. So at the end of the video, I will show off the spell at max as well. If you guys do want to see that, I'm not going to show it like midway through, just so you guys can actually learn about what's the best place to farm. So that's the max pip spell, and obviously it is going to be 7 pips, and it does say 0 out of max now because I do have it maxed out. So let's go over the 3 people that you can farm. There's other people that you can farm, but in my opinion, these are like the 3 main people in Caramel that you would be farming for your spellements. This does vary per school, and I'll explain why I think that and why I'm going to be talking about that. So first, let's start off with Uwe. So I'll meet you guys over there when we get to Uwe, and we'll talk about it. Just a clarification, Uwe is in Sweetsburg, so whenever you do go to your little navigator over here, just click, or the Nana Vader, you go over here to Sweetsburg, given the fact that you have finished Caramel a lot, and you'll be granted this specific area. Obviously, you guys won't, on my screen this is gonna look different than yours, but there's supposed to be a guy right here. If you haven't done the side quest, it's Uwe talking about his play and everything like that, and you actually do go to the little boss fight and you go fight him. He's not there for me because obviously I already fought him, so the quest is already done, and he's actually in this specific boss fight. It's called Uwe's Workshop. So let's quickly go inside and we'll talk a little bit about his drops and why you would farm him, particularly versus the other 2. So let's quickly go in there and also talk about other drops that he drops, and he drops a lot of stuff. So you go in here, you see Uwe literally by himself, and then you see Malister, Morganthe, Grandfire Spiders, because this is an interpretation of a play talking about the arcs. You go with Malister, Morganthe, and then the Grandfire Spider, and then Uwe's the one who's conducting the play and trying to offer you, would you like to buy this play? So the things that he does drop, so he doesn't drop all of the spellements. So if you are the school that has Grenadier, which is life, this is somewhere you would farm. If you have S'mores, which is fire, you would farm him. Shatterhorn for ice, Storm for musicology, and that's about it. So if you're those schools, you would want to farm Uwe. Also, which is a good place about Uwe, good thing about him is that when you do actually farm him, he gives the damage rings, and they're actually really useful because I actually have all the damage rings and most of them are in my bank, and I just keep them there in case I need to use them for other schools. But he drops two different versions: the director's ring, which is really good for its damage, and it has a circle socket and tier socket, while if you care about one extra additional percentage, you would use the executive ring. And the reason being is if you just want that extra damage but you lose out on that crit. I personally use directors because I put in a pure socket jewel. It's just your opinion. So he drops all the director and executive rings. All the other rings are very but I would try to go for director or executive depending on you. He drops a lot of other stuff like amulets, themes, boots, all that type of stuff, and those are all good for selling. When it comes to decks, he does drop an executive insulted deck, so if you are Storm, you can get your executive deck here, and actually really good due to the fact that it does give you crit and pip conserve, and it gives you more health, and it's better in my opinion than a paradox deck at the moment till the block system is changed. Then he drops a lot of housing stuff, which is kind of whatever. Same thing as TCs, drops whatever. A lot of reagents. This man even also drops, which I was surprised about, was Amber. He drops Amber and Amber Dust. So if you do want to farm him, I definitely recommend it because I've gotten some Amber from here and it's actually pretty cool. It's not listed on the reagents for the wiki, but I definitely have gotten Amber from here, and you can pretty sure I could show off a little bit. I think I wasted all my Amber though because I did craft all my spells, so I still have 2 Amber luckily because I did use a lot of Amber from farming from him to craft my spells. He does drop wands as well. He drops the executive ones, which are good for its pierce and damage and everything like that. So if you care about those, he is your guy, especially for jewels. He is the best person to farm at the moment for jewels other than paradox, but he is better because he's quicker to farm. And if you care about your 135s, jewels that he drops crit, he drops block, damage, defense, even the 135 health opals. I sadly haven't got any. I have 133, 133, and I believe 130. I think I have 130 in my bank, so I've been getting at least 130s, and I don't think you need the 135s, but if you are someone who cares about the extra 4 or 5 HP, definitely grind him. And yeah, so he drops all the jewels. So that is Uwe for you. He drops a lot of stuff, and he even drops evil magma peas, deadly elephant ears, and a lot of couch potatoes. But for me, I have gotten a lot of evil magma peas from him. I've gotten over like 25 or even 30 at this point from him. It's kind of insane. So if you care about plants, he's also a good person to farm as well. So overall, he's the one who's your guy for your certain schools, and we're going to be talking about the other schools because there's another person that you can farm if I didn't mention your school at all. So that's why we're going to go over there right now, and that person is Hedi. So I'll meet you guys over there. So we're also going to be using the Inanivator again, and we're going to go to another place, and it's called Gutenstad. So we're going to go over there, and I'll tell you guys where you get the side quests as well. So once you guys come over here, you're gonna be greeted with like a wide variety of places and stuff like that, and Dieter is going to be the person who gives you the side quests. Obviously I don't have it here already because I've completed all the side quests for Caramel, but he would be the guy giving it to you, and then he's going to tell you, I need you to go fight this person because, you know, they're trying to burn down the place. And Hedi is over here. She's in this dungeon located over here, and the questor will tell you it's called Heidi's Hideout. There's always people in team up either in here or Uwe, but mainly I see people fighting Uwe because of all the stuff that he gives, and it's actually really good. So let's go into Heidi's Hideout and we'll talk a little bit about her because she actually does drop quite a few things that might be useful depending on your school, and just overall a good person to farm for the other schools as well because she drops, I believe, almost all the jewels. So you might be confused why it's only one person. This is actually cheating boss. So after like the first round, she summons her minion and basically helps her. Whenever you are hit with an overtime, she blades you. That's about it. That's the main cheats that you need to know about Hedi, and she's also fire. So when it comes to what she drops a lot of hats, robes, boots, all that type of stuff. None of those are really useful in my opinion, but you can do is sell them at the bazaar because they actually give a decent amount of gold, like 10k a pop or something around there. When it comes to the rings, she does drop some executives and some directors, but not all of them. So if you want a wider variety of just trying to get all your schools, I definitely recommend Uwe because he drops all the director and executive rings. She only drops some of them. When it comes to the wands, she drops a little bit of the executive, a little bit of directors, but the main thing that people farm her for is the uber wands, and the uber wands give you a lot more damage. I personally don't use them is because in my damage set I use the fossil warrior with the set bonus of my pet, so that's why I have more damage than I need, so that's why I don't use the uber wands personally. But if you are a free-to-play player, the uber wands in my opinion are the best ones that you can use as a free-to-play player because of its damage and its shadow bib rating. So that's another thing that you guys want. Also, they do drop the wonderbar wands as well, and you can use them from crafting, and you can craft an uber wand if you wanted to as well if you didn't get it, and then you can use the crafting recipe and spawn in Caramel. There is a vendor that gives that to you. When it comes to other things she drops, she does drop executive decks, but only the ones that are storm and life. She drops the regular directors and producers, but the executive decks are the best ones when it comes to AoEs and just PvE in general. A lot of housing stuff that you don't really need, same thing as treasure cards, a lot of reagents, same thing as Amber like I said earlier. But the good thing is about her, if you are one of the schools that I didn't list earlier from Uwe, she has all the spellements for all the schools, so if you need a person to farm, she's your best bet when it comes to just overall everybody. If you're the schools that I listed earlier, whether it be, I can pull it actually back up, if you were life, storm, or fire, ice, I would recommend highly that you farm Uwe because it's the best, best time, so you don't waste it. But unless if you do need the wand and stuff like that and you care more about that, then I would recommend Hedi. But if you don't need the wand, definitely go farm Uwe because all the jewels that he drops, all the rings that he has, and he's overall just better if you are those specific schools. But sadly, if you're not those schools, I would say farm Hedi because those are your best chance of spellements, and it's just better luck that way. But if you already have all your spellements, then like I said, go back to Uwe because he does drop a lot more better things than Hedi. But she does drop some jewels, but not the best ones in my opinion. She drops most of them, but if you care about the 135 healths, only Uwe and Paradox drop it. So when it comes to jewels, don't farm Hedi. If you're going to be farming jewels, only Uwe and only Paradox. And Paradox actually last on my list because we'll talk about that when we get there. But like I said, that's all Hedi drops. A bunch of seeds as well if you care about seeds. But she's going to be your best bet when it comes to spellements for every school. But if you're those specific schools, like I said earlier, Uwe is your route. And if you do care about your damage rings, Hedi does drop them. Pretty straightforward. That's the only reason you would farm Hedi in my opinion. So now we're going to go to the final person that I want to talk on this list, and that's Paradox, and I'll explain why I put Paradox so down the list. So I'll talk to you guys when we get there. Here we are at Paradox to talk about all of his stuff now, and here's a little animation because I actually had to get here, so you guys are going to see the little bit of animation of Grand Nana and everything like that. There's only 2 minions. Actually, no, everything should spawn now. I think it's just a little bit laggy. So Paradox is last, and I'll explain why. And there's nothing bad about Paradox being last at all. It's just that the fight takes a little bit long. Yeah, you can like 4 or 5 round it if you have a good team, or even quicker, I feel like, but I think it's 4 or 5 or 6 or something around there. But it's still a long fight in my opinion. But the reason why he's so down on the list, or this person's down on the list, you do get your jewels, and if you do get those types of things, he does drop all the jewels just like Uwe, if you care about those. Also, Paradox does give you a guaranteed drop of a sound or just any school spellement. But the reason why he's still down the list is because this fight lasts so long. In the time that I've been testing of fighting all the 3 fights, I still believe Uwe for me was the best, and obviously because he dropped my school specific. Hedi Hedi is still pretty good, but just for me, Uwe was the best bet because I got a lot of stuff that I needed. I got an evil magma piece. I got over like 30 evil magma piece. I've gotten all the rings for every single school, so I don't have to worry about executive director rings. I got a bunch of jewels from him, and that's actually really good because it helps out with other characters. A lot of reagents that I do need over time, like amber, everything like that. But Paradox, even though you do get a guarantee of a spellment every time, this fight just lasts way too long. And if you do have a good team, you know, and you guys are willing to do this, and you know you care about the guarantee drop, because I forgot to mention this, I don't believe I mentioned it, was that not all this stuff is guaranteed. The spellments are not a guarantee every fight. Only time it's guaranteed is if you're fighting Paradox. But sometimes you can get even lucky by farming Uwe, and by the time you finish Paradox, that amount of time for that one guarantee, you could be farming Uwe or Hedi and be getting like 4 or 5 in the matter of those fights. And because so many people are teaming up, especially in Uwe, you can basically one round Uwe, and that's not going to take as long. If you one round, you can't even one round Paradox because he summons minions 3 times. He summons the whole row 3 times. So that's another thing, and especially if you do die in this fight, you can't join back. You insta die. So in my opinion, I still believe Uwe is the best. Also, Paradox does drop the Uber wand, so if you care about those for your school specific wand, Uber, you know, all that type of stuff, Paradox is your best route for those. But I still believe Hedi is better because I see everyone farming Hedi, and I would probably farm Hedi instead of Paradox. But he does drop all the Uber gear. It's not just wands. He drops the robes, hats, boots, like every single Uber piece he drops it. So if you are caring about a specific piece, I mean, maybe you can farm Paradox, but in my, you know, my testing and me doing all the fights a bunch of times and actually maxing out my spell, for me personally, I believe Uwe is the best for those specific schools like I mentioned earlier. But if you are someone who's not on that school list, Hedi is going to be your best route no matter what, because of how quick that fight is. It's way better than Paradox, and even if you get that guarantee from Paradox, like I said, it's just not worth the time. I wouldn't even recommend it to anybody, but you know, you can farm it. It is guaranteed drop, and I won't hold that against you, you know. He doesn't drop any seeds that are useful, but he does drop all the good opals, like the dazing health opals, everything like that, just like Uwe. But I believe Uwe is still better. Same thing as the health, he does drop the 135 health opals as well, but you know, Uwe's there as well. And then also this person does drop the executive decks, whether it be ice, hazmat, insulted, or thermal. So if you do care about your executive decks, he's also a person that you can farm for those. So overall, if I had to make a tier list of all these guys, whether it be Paradox, whether it be Uwe or Hedi, and obviously there is more on the list that you can look at for the Wizard101 Central Wiki, but I think these are the 3 main ones that people farm. So if I had to make a tier list, I believe Uwe was the best, depending on your school. Obviously, he is the best overall, no matter what, whether it be jewels, whether it be pet seeds, whether it be the crit rings and damage rings and just amber, all that type of stuff. 100% Uwe is the best. Then it goes Hedi, because Hedi does drop every single spellment for every school, so that's why I put Hedi there. And then obviously if you do care about the Uber ones, Hedi does drop those. And then Paradox, even though it does give 1 per fight, but you also do gotta realize how long the fight is. It's not worth it. Paradox is definitely at the bottom. So that's just how I generally farmed. It takes time, and I highly recommend that you guys do all the side quests in Caramel if you are going to be getting your spell upgraded, because most schools are not going to be getting to rank 7. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Even in PvP, I don't see people with rank 7s. You know, I might be living in a different meta, but I do, from seeing other PvP people in the community, whether it be Devo or Blake PvP or just some other people in the community, I still believe you know, you're not going to get it to 7 pips. The only ones that you would get to 7 pips are probably the AoEs, and the only good AoE from Caramel is the Storm one, because it's 7 pips and how useful it is. And you wouldn't even use the spell in PvP either. So for PvE, like I was talking about earlier, how like I'm a main PvE person, the only one that I would recommend getting to max level is probably Sound of Musicology. But if you are trying to go for that extra effort and you really care about getting your spell maxed out, this video was for you. So hope you guys enjoyed. Before I end off the video, you guys will see a clip of me using the Sound of Musicology 7 pips with the Shad enchanted with my gear. Obviously it's not the best gear. I'll have a video talking about my damage and everything like that, but it's at 185. I can go higher, but we'll talk about the stats some other time. But I'll go to a fight and I'll test out the 7 pip caramel spell to end it off. But hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that type of stuff. Turn on the notifications so you guys aren't missing out any new content coming out on this channel. And hopefully you guys did enjoy my previous video talking about the new animations coming to the game, because I can tell a lot of people were interested at seeing the new animation. So thank you for all the support, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.
Ready to